I'm standing at the edge of what we call the Garden of Salem, our community garden for the church. And we've been so blessed this year with a partnership with Foods of the Fundy Valley and our own Charlene Broad and some of other folks who've led this particular ministry of our church. And you know, it's the end of the season, and as you look around at this garden, you can see that most of the plants have been harvested and they're beginning to die off from the fall, from the colder weather. And you know, it's interesting because it's so easy to look at this and think that this means that something's coming to an end. But the truth is, as we know, there are seasons for everything. Think about a season in the New Testament, in the book of Acts, when the persecution in the church had been increasing. We've been talking about the book of Acts for the last number of weeks and how the church had been scattered. And King Herod was at the place where he was really starting to feel his power and look for the favor of the Jewish people. And in the book of Acts, in chapter 12, we find a story of a man named Peter at a time when he was in prison. Let me share it with you. It says, about that time, that's the time when the church was being scattered, the king laid violent hands on some who belonged to the church. He killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. And when he saw that it pleased the Jews, he proceeded to arrest Peter also. James would have been one of the early church leaders, one of Jesus' original 12 followers, and Peter was the leader of those. This was during the days of unleavened bread. And when he had seized him, Peter, he put him in prison, delivering him over to 4 squads of soldiers to guard him. Seems like overkill for a fisherman, doesn't it? He intended after the Passover to bring him out to the people. So Peter was kept in prison, but earnest prayer for him was made to God by the church. Now when Herod was about to bring him out, on that very night, Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers bound with 2 chains, and sentries before the door were guarding the prison. And behold, an angel of the Lord stood next to them, and a light shone in the cell. He struck Peter on the side and woke him, saying, "Get up quickly." You can just imagine Peter laying there, and the angel doing what any of us might have done for a loved one laying in bed, and just giving them a little shake and saying, "Wake up." And the chains fell off Peter's hands, and the angel said to him, "Dress yourself and put on your sandals." And he did so. And he said to him, "Wrap your cloak around you and follow me." And he went out and followed him. Remember, there's soldiers there. They must have been asleep or somehow disabled, as well as the guards outside the cell. Now Peter, it says, he did not know that what was being done by the angel was real, but thought he was seeing a vision. When they had passed the first and the second guard, they came to the iron gate leading into the city. It opened for them of its own accord. And they went out and went along one street, and immediately the angel left him. When Peter came to himself, he said, "Now I am sure that the Lord has sent his angel and rescued me from the hand of Herod and from all the Jewish people were expecting." When he realized this, he went to the house of Mary, the mother of John, whose other name was Mark, where many were gathered together and were praying. And when he knocked at the door of the gateway, a servant girl named Rhoda came to answer. Recognizing Peter's voice, in her joy, she did not open the gate, but ran in and reported that Peter was standing at the gate. And they said to her, "You are out of your mind." But she kept insisting that it was so, and they kept saying, "It is his angel." But Peter continued knocking. And when they opened, they saw him and were amazed. But motioning them with his hand to be silent, he described to them how the Lord had brought him out of the prison, and he said, "Tell these things to James and to the brothers." Then he departed and went to another place. Now when day came, there was no little disturbance among the soldiers over what had become of Peter. And after Herod searched for him and did not find him, examined the sentries and ordered that they should be put to death. Then he went down from Judea to Caesarea and spent time there. Folks, I just want you to imagine this picture for a moment. An angel appears to Peter. He doesn't even believe it's real. And what does he do? He gets up and he puts on his cloak, his sandals, and his clothes, and the chains fall off his hands. And as he approaches the gate of the prison, it mysteriously opens in front of him, the power of God opening that gate. He walks through the gate, and this whole time he thinks, I'm just having a dream or a vision or imagining what I wish were so. And then he hears an incredible sound as that gate closes. He hears the gate slam shut, the sound of metal on metal. And in that moment, he realizes that God has set him free. But I'm struck by the strange irony of this story. That he goes to a house he knows to speak to those who have been praying for exactly this to happen, for God to set him free. And he knocks at the door. And the girl who hears his voice is so excited, she doesn't open the door. She just runs to tell everybody, guess what? Peter's outside. Why wouldn't she open the door? Why wouldn't she let Peter in? My friends, I can't help wondering a simple question today. If we think about this story, how often have God's people, have we prayed for God to move, only to discover later on he was already moving? How often have we prayed that God would do something very specific, but when he came and knocked at the door, we were so excited we forgot to open it and let him in? I wonder if there's something in your life right now, something important to you, that you've been praying about, that you've been asking your church to pray for. And the truth is, God's already done what we're asking. They were praying for him to be delivered that very night. That very night, God answered their prayer. That very night, Peter came to the door. And that very night, they didn't let him in. At least not until he knocked a lot longer. I wonder how much sooner would we see the hand of God if as soon as we heard the first knock, we went to the door and paid attention and opened it and let him come in. My friends, let me encourage you. There is power in prayer. And God, his word says, behold, he stands at the door and knock. And if anyone opens, he will come in and dwell with them. Let me invite you to open the door to God as you've been praying, to let him come in, to answer your prayers, to deliver those that you care about, to deliver you, and to see his power at work. My friends, I believe this is such great news that God will knock. So open the door today and enjoy God dwelling with you. Have a blessed day.